I'm going to talk about extraterrestrials. People say that, well, if extraterrestrials are real, why haven't they communicated with us? I'm going to tell you that there's a reason why. It's because they do not have a good history and they do not have good intentions. Okay, so basically, the universe is fairly infinite, and the number of habitable planets is fairly infinite, billions of years old. There are potentially infinite number of civilizations out there, even in our galaxy alone, and then you include the other galaxies, and then you include other universes. I mean, this will just go on forever. And whoever starts first exploring the universe controls the universe. And as you know, just like on planet Earth, the strong survive. You have to have a nuclear weapon in order to protect yourself. We're safe because we have a weapon that discourages others from touching us. These extraterrestrials, they have a bad history. They've probably done some nasty stuff to other beings or their own civilization. They outright told me if they want to attack planet Earth, it's not like what you see on the movie Independence Day where aliens fly around and shoot lasers at people. They said what they would do is they would just have a device that would hit our sun from far away, from hundreds of thousands of light years away. They'd aim it right at the sun. They'd kill the sun would die out, and everything on our planet would die. That's what they told me. So because I hear voices. That's the reason why. And that's the reason why I know a lot of the things from what they've told me. They told me that they are the number one species in the universe and they control the universe. We are like we're not in the area where all the cool stuff happens. We're kind of in a difficult part of space for them to get access to, so they could care less about us. It's like we have what they call an undiscovered tribe or an isolated tribe, and they are isolated economically. We are isolated economically from other species in the universe, advanced species. However, they came here a while ago. They are responsible for all of our religions. They're responsible for people hearing voices. They're responsible for all the dreams you have at night, people seeing ghosts, deja vu, all psychic phenomena. It's all done through technology, reading your mind and having a device that can project a thought into your mind. In fact, there was a sci-fi author from like the 1950s who wrote a sci-fi book about extraterrestrials, saying that they've invented a virtual reality device that could allow humans to experience anything. That's a dream. And yes, they have. And it's interesting that this sci-fi author wrote about it. This stuff is real. So they're embarrassed about who they are. They're bad. They don't care about us. They're not. They they interfere on people's lives. If they don't like you, you're fucked. If they don't like you, you are fucked. They will fuck you. You'll have people who hear voices. Joan of Arc is an example. So Joan of Arc, the story is she heard voices. It was about preventing England from taking over France. But what happened when she succeeded was the voices abandoned her, and she was set on trial and burned at the stake. So they assisted her until they got what they wanted, and then they abandoned her, and then she was put on trial, burned at the stake. That's the way they act. They act in their own self-interest. They have what they want, and that is it. And when they're done with you, they dispose of you. If there's no such thing as a coincidence. I remember one day my car, the battery exploded. If you know anything about cars, you know what I'm talking about. Car batteries explode. And I fixed it myself and I cleaned up the car. And I kept thinking, oh, I should go get a new battery, but I was like, forget about it. And then, like a year later, for some reason, I just felt like I gotta do it today. I have to do it right now. And I went to go get my battery replaced, and one of my best friends was also at the mechanic. I was sitting there and he came over, and I hadn't seen him in years. It was one of my college roommates. And I was like, at the time, I thought, oh, it's just a coincidence. I don't think that anymore. Once you hear voices, you realize that's not a coincidence. What they are doing, these extraterrestrials are here. They have the ability to read everybody's minds in some fashion, maybe just by reading your brain waves, and in some fashion, through an implant that might assist in reading your mind. They put it all into some sort of a computer. If you read um, about like ancient psychic beliefs, they have something called the Akashic records. It's probably spelled Akashic, and these are the records of all of humanity's thoughts. This is real shit, and they knew about it thousands of years ago. This is real. This stuff really exists, and the reason why is because you can predict the future if you know what everyone is thinking. And I realized this after a while because I would have premonitions about things that would happen in the future. But at some point, I was thinking, like, how can this happen? How can you predict the future? I was like, well, if you knew what other people were thinking, because I noticed that certain things, like if you take a pen and just randomly throw it, you can't predict what's going to happen. But if it's something like that person's walking down the street and you're walking down the street, you're going to meet at the corner. It's predictable if you know what both people are doing, even if you only see it from your point of view. If somebody knows what both of you are doing, they can predict what will happen. And if you tend to say the same phrases every day, they can predict what you might say if you meet somebody. So they do this so they can predict the future, and they can use this to manipulate people. For example, Adolf Hitler rose to power. People say, if God exists, why does he allow Adolf Hitler to rise to power and start a war that killed 80 million people? I'm going to tell you why. Because God is not benevolent. That's the reason why. They are not, there's no such thing as pure good. There's no such thing that God is good and Satan is evil and they're independent beings. That's just absolutely not true. It's not true for any being. These 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 beings have their own agenda, and they're okay with Hitler rising to power. If they had this ability to predict the future and they predicted that he would did it, Nostradamus predicted the rise of Hister, which became Hitler, and Nostradamus was accurate hundreds of years earlier, maybe only 200 or 300 years earlier. How did Nostradamus do it? There's no such thing as magic. If you had a computer that knew everybody's thoughts and everybody's lineage and the general beliefs of what people thought in certain areas and what humanity was predisposed to do, you could predict that something like this might happen. But the question is, are people assisting it? Are people assisting someone? There was a woman named Dolores Cannon from the 80s. She wrote 3 books, Conversations with Nostradamus, 1, 2, and 3. And I'm amazed at the predictions that she made. She predicted that George Bush and Al Gore would tie. I think she may have predicted that Trump was going to be president. She predicted that there would be a president named Bush who didn't look like George Bush, which ended up being his son, George W. Bush, and his father, H.W. Bush, we knew the father at the time, we didn't know his son, and that he would be president during the war, during the terrorist attacks, and sleeper cells, and the devices, the crop dusters being used as a terrorist weapon. No, who would have thought of that during the 1980s? But that's the stuff that she wrote about. I'm surprised people don't talk about all of her accurate predictions. And she predicted the Arab Spring. Um, uh, Julian Assange, his name is Ogmios in her book. She said, there would be this man named Ogmios who would be a great genius, who would have so much knowledge and information that everyone would be afraid of him, and he would change the world and prevent or start wars or prevent wars, or his information would change um, governments and stuff like that. That was Julian Assange, WikiLeaks. That's what it was. I don't know why it says Ogmios. Um, okay, so this shit is real. There's no such thing as being psychic. It's technology, and you just don't know what it is. Jesus Christ, if he says he was speaking to God, I guarantee you it was aliens. That's what it was. When aliens show up, when you hear about UFO sightings over military bases, what that means is that there's a war coming. That is how they communicate. I remember I was canoeing one day, and the the canoe guides, they ride in their own canoes. And if there's a place that's dangerous, what they do is they park their canoes in a dangerous place. And they tell you, if you see me in my canoe, don't come where I am. I'm going to point that way and you go that way. That's what They do. It's probably standard if you do rafting and canoeing, where they'll park in the dangerous spot and tell you not to go there. And if you get close to them, they'll start shouting at you, go that way, go that way, go that way. The UFOs do the same thing. If there's a war coming, they start to make appearances over military bases, or it could be over something else. Crop circles, I believe, are a message about genetic manipulation of crops. That's what I believe it's about. If you read Dolores Cannon, she talks about genetic manipulation of crops and why it's bad for people. And the way she says it is that, well, it'll be good for us now, but a few generations down the line, the genetic manipulation of crops is going to hurt humanity somehow. Um, so I want to reiterate, I believe that extraterrestrials are real. When I was a kid in the 1980s, nobody believed that there were more than 9 planets in the universe. Nobody believed that there was life on other planets. Nobody believed that there was another planet beyond the 9. I'm not talking about our solar system. I mean, if you went out, I remember going up to people as a kid saying, there's probably other planets out there. To say you're crazy is what you would be told. But then scientists disproved that. They proved that other stars have planets orbiting them. And there's something called the habitable zone or the Earth zone or whatever they call it. There's other planets that are Earth-like where life can form. Life can form elsewhere just as it formed here. And if it formed before us and we weren't first, then we're not the most advanced technology. And if we're not, the chances are they know we're here. They're just not saying anything. And the reason why is because they are embarrassed and ashamed about what they are doing and about their history. Now, one of the things that they told me is that they have to put implants in everybody's brains. And there's a reason why. The reason why is because the way to control people, you put an implant in if you put an implant in someone's brain, you can control their mind. That's the reason why. So in order to protect their people, they have to do it. They have to do it. It's like your personal defense against another being. From far away, from thousands of light years away, someone can create a device that can send a beam at your planet that can make everybody go crazy or make everybody have a heart attack. It's possible to create technology to do that. We already have weapons. They're heat weapons where if you stand in front of it, it makes your skin feel like it's burning. And they do this to get people to leave the area. We have devices that blind people temporarily. There's already technology to make people hear voices. They do it for advertising. What it does is when you're walking through an airport, you'll see an ad and you'll hear the audio even though the ad is far away, but other people around you won't hear it. This is technology that already exists. And this technology can be used if you can figure out how to control someone's mind, even if you just cause them blindness or cause them to be confused or unable to function or hit them here, make them have a heart attack. This technology is within the realm of possibility. So in order to protect their species, they had to put implants within the minds of all of their people so that they can immediately detect if they're under an attack and have some way of blocking it. And they use this technology within humans. So we all have this thing apparently right here. I remember when I was a kid, my brother woke up one day, he had a nosebleed. Why? And then a few years later, I woke up, I had a nosebleed. I remember one night I woke up and there was like an insect crawling in my nose. That's the way I think it's done. And I read a book, it might have been Communion by Whiteley Strieber, where he might talk about nosebleeds as something that happens when someone's been abducted. Nosebleeds, having your clothing on backwards, a weird smell in your room, and toys missing. So I've had 3 of the 4. I never had toys in my bedroom, never woke up with them missing when I was a kid. But I woke up one day and my clothes were on backwards. And I thought that was weird. I'm neurotic about putting my clothes on properly. I check every time I put my clothes on, I check to make sure it's the proper way inside out, the tag's on the right side. I wake up one day and immediately wake up and my clothes are on wrong. And there's a weird smell in my room, overwhelming stench that wasn't there when I went to sleep, and woke up with a nosebleed. And I later read these are signs of alien abduction. I woke up one night, I was paralyzed. I couldn't see out of one eye. and I couldn't move, and I had a feeling that there was a hand on my head. I've seen ghosts. Ghosts are not real. They're projected into your mind. So you see it, other people don't. It's a mind projection, just like light goes into your eye. If you have another device that can hit your optical nerve, it can cause you to see a ghost. I've seen more than you can imagine. And I verified that other people have seen exactly what I've seen. Orange and blue ghosts. I've seen them. I said, I said to my brother, I said, last night I saw an orange ghost. And my brother said, oh, I see blue ghosts. And I met someone in college who said orange and blue ghosts. I said, mine hold my feet down. And he says his holds his feet and hands down. I was like, 3 different people, short orange blue ghost holding your hands and feet down. If I search for it now on the internet, I don't find reference to it, but I've spoken to other people that have. Let's see, I'm going to do orange and blue ghosts. Hold your feet down. Let's see if anything comes up. 12 signs a ghost is near. Okay, I can feel it holding my legs. Blue filter, and another one says burn bright orange. Type of ghosts. I don't see. I'm not looking at the pages. I'm just looking at the search result summaries. So the first one was, so as I said, I know from searching on this previously that I never found anything from other people where it would prove that it's like an epidemic. But when I was 30 years ago, first got on the internet on IRC, I did meet someone who described the same thing. It was on Usenet, and I did not tell it to him. I read it from him first. I said, that's the same thing that I saw. And I remember earlier when my brother said the same thing. So it's not a common thing. So I believe that extraterrestrials are real. I believe that they're here. They do not have good intentions. They told me that human beings are like commodities. The other thing is, a lot of things that they tell me, if I start reading literature, because the aliens are talking to me all fucking day long. If I write down different phrases and I look up what other people are hearing, they're hearing the same thing that I'm hearing. And not only that, if I read like, here's the secret alien that the government is covering up, and they say, this is what the alien says, it says the same stuff that I hear. It's stuff like, we feel for you is one of the things that they frequently say. It's actually insulting when they say that. It's condescending. They say it in a condescending way. Another one is, okay, so here's another example. There's one of those secret reports about some alien that works for the government. And what it says is that it would help humans build something. Like, let's say it was an airplane engine. And they said what was interesting is that if the American scientists couldn't do something, they would go and ask for advice. And they would say that the alien would answer the question before they ask the question, which implies that they were reading the mind of the person. Now, what's interesting is that the voices did it to me. Like, for example, I would hear an answer, I would be working on my computer programming, and I would be coming up to a problem, and I would never ask the voices for help. They intrudingly offer it. They don't do it because they want to help me. They want to do it just to prove that they have power. Okay, they don't actually help people. They just do it to say we're the boss type of thing. So if I came across a problem, they would give me the answer to the problem. But I didn't ask the question yet. So let's say the answer was x times 5, and I'd be working on a formula. So what's this formula? So, okay, so I got to make a variable on the computer. Okay, x and okay, so what am I trying to do? I got to multiply it by 5, and I was like, x times 5, and the voices said this to me a minute ago. They were reading my mind, anticipating what I'm going to do, giving me the answer, showing me that they're doing this. However, if I ever have a problem, they'll never help me with anything. They don't do it because they want to help you. They only do it enough to prove to you that they're smart, and that they're not. I don't claim that they're smart, but that they have knowledge, they have access. Because like if you have Google Siri, Alexa, you can get answers to stuff. That doesn't make you a smart person. They have information. But like I said, if I ever need something, they would never help me with things that I can't solve myself. If it's something that I really can't solve it on my own, they'll never help me, and I'll go years trying to solve a problem. But if it's something where I'm about to come up with the solution anyway, and they can give me the answer a minute before I come up with the solution, and then say that they gave me the answer, they'll do that to show that they have information. Or one thing that happens is I'll hear somebody's name, let's say it's Fred, and I'll hear it hundreds of times, and then the next day I'll meet somebody named Fred, and that's it. But it just and it will, and this happens many times in my life, and I'm not talking about once a year. I mean, it could happen once a month. I would hear names because at the time I was single and I was dating women. I would hear lots of women's names, and I would meet these women. So another thing that they told me is that the universe has already been explored. They said that time has passed. They've already explored the universe, and they haven't colonized every planet, and they told me that they made the suggestion that they don't live on planets. So maybe they built their own thing that they live on and put it where they want it to be and live there. I guess that would have to be something that you would do. If you could make artificial gravity, it could be really efficient. But they implied that they don't all live on planets. They said that there's not a lot of extraterrestrials here at Earth, but they are here. And um, they have limited resources. That's one of the reasons why. They have limited resources. So if you want to pray to God, yeah, there's somebody listening, but you're not going to get personalized attention. They've got some sort of an AI system that analyzes human thought, and they only respond like once a day. They would say that they're checking in on me for like a minute, and that's it. The rest of the day, any of the voices I hear are absolute nonsense. Like if I hear a voice and it starts talking to me, I said, "Hey, how you doing today?" They don't know how to respond. If you try to engage it in conversation, you can't. If I say, "What's the weather like where you are?" they can't respond to that. But then maybe tomorrow they'll say, "Oh, the weather's nice," but if it's raining, it's like you're wrong. What they do is they check in once a day. They update the programming for what you're asking. And I ask things like, "What's 7 times 3?" They can't answer. If it comes from your memory, they'll answer. But if I say, "Well, what's 7 times 27?" I can figure it out. It would be 140 plus, no, 7 times 27 is 140 plus 49, which is 189. They would never come up with that answer. I can say, "What's 7 times 27?" and sit here and wait. Never hear the answer. The voices are not a real being that people hear. It's some sort of little programming. It's very limited programming, limited resources. If I ask a question like, "What am I going to do? I have this, I owe somebody $5. I can't pay it. What am I going to do?" And I'm all stressed out. The next day I come up with an answer, hear it from a voice, but there's a 24-hour waiting period because, like I said, you don't have personalized attention. The extraterrestrials do exist. They already conquered the universe. They told me that they're the dominant species in the universe. They show me as if you look up a gray alien from Zeta Reticuli, that's what they look like when they present themselves to me. And that's how they showed me they look like when I was a child, when I was like 4 or 5 years old, had lots of dreams of aliens. One night I was lying down, I said, "I wonder what an alien looks like." And I saw an image of an alien from head to toe. A lot of things that you do, they reinforce. Oh, if you hear like a song in your head, I have a song in my head I can't get rid of, that comes from them. It hits you right here. I get it all day long. Any song, I will hear it all my waking hours. The songs have messages in them. What what they do to me a lot lately is marching orders, like what you hear in the military. And basically what it is they're telling me to do something. I know what they want me to do. It has to do with a woman that I met, and they're saying, ask her out is basically what they're saying. uh, so um, basically, like, let's say you have a cold and you say, oh, I have a cold, I'm just going to lie down. If you start hearing the marching order song, that means no, go to the doctor. Stop being lazy. Get off your feet and go to the doctor. So what happened is I started hearing songs and I heard voices, and I thought, I'm going to look up the lyrics to the song. I know this song, I don't know what the lyrics are. And I looked up the lyrics and I said, this is fucking weird. The lyrics have to do with what I'm doing right now. And every day I was hearing a different song and I was looking up the lyrics. And I did this for like 20 or 30 songs. And a lot of the lyrics in the songs were about what I was doing absolutely at that point, or they were answering a question that I was asking. However, my experience is that they were very nice when I first met them. The voices were very nice to me, but they do this to earn your trust. And once they tune into your brain waves and they know your frequency, then they start the harassment. They're very nice. Hello, how are you? Hi, hello, how are you? Can you hear us? Oh, can you hear us? Can you hear me? So, oh, yeah, I can hear you. And that's how they're tuning in. They're checking their frequency. Oh, he can hear us now. That's the frequency. But then what happens as you start hearing F you, go kill yourself, commit suicide, F you, F you, F you, all day long for 20 years. That's what they do. And you can't block it out because they got your frequency. That's how people hear voices. If you ever hear a voice, this is what they do. I'm going to tell you how to watch out for it. If you hear somebody say hello or asking you to identify yourself, ignore it. That's how they get you. They try to say hello to get you to respond, to engage in communication, and they're tuning in on your frequency. That means they're they're trying to target you. Once they target you, they will start attacking you with all sorts of foul stuff. The things that they say are absolutely crazy. And they're always making false statements against me and crazy stuff, like they say, oh, you believe this. And it's like, what are you talking about? Let's use drugs, for example. I don't smoke marijuana. I don't care if other people do. But they might accuse me of smoking marijuana. There was a lot of talk. They would say, your neighbor smokes marijuana. They would just say this over and over and over again. I don't know why they were doing it. I don't want to get into straight conversation. But they told me that people are commodities. That's the point that I was making. Like gold is a commodity. There's some people like George Clooney, Donald Trump, that are worth more than other people. If you're worth something, they have an interest in being a part of your life, either in participating with your success or preventing you from doing something. It's one of the two. So someone who's successful, they're probably helping. If you're failing, it could be because they're stopping you from being successful. What they'll do, I'm going to give you an example. I was with my friend, and my friend knew that I heard voices, and we were at the airport, and we had to transfer, and it was international, so or maybe it wasn't. He had to have his passport, and I might have been standing next to him, and we went to the next gate. They asked him for his passport to board the plane, and he said, I don't know where it is. I said, I'll stay here, go find your passport. And if you don't get on the plane, I'm not getting on the plane. And he ran to the last place where he was, where he had to show his passport. And he went there, and at the last minute, he showed up with his passport, we got on the plane. Right before the plane was about to take off. Like if it had been 5 or 10 minutes later, we would have missed the flight. And he told me this story. He said, I don't understand. I always put my passport in my bag. He's got like a travel bag. He says, I have a spot in the bag for passports. And he showed it to me. He says, see right here, you slide the passport into this little thing. And every time I got my passport, I put it back in here. How could I possibly have left it there? And I told him how. I said, because you hear voices. He's a person who doesn't realize he hears voices. Everybody hears voices. You don't realize it. A song is one of the examples. What they did is he gave the passport, and when the passport was given back to him, they distract him. Like they'll say something like, put your passport down. Don't worry, it's okay. Look over there. and he'll look around and he won't see anything. And then he lost his train of thought. His train of thought was when he gets his passport is to put it in the bag. That's what he normally does. But they interrupt the train of thought. They send an electronic pulse or whatever it is, and they say, put your passport down. Don't worry, it's okay. Look over there. Short-term memory gets wiped. And then he turns back, and he doesn't realize he didn't put his passport inside the bag. He doesn't feel an emotional response because they told him everything's safe, everything's okay. And then he leaves without his passport. And the reason why I know is because they did this shit to me again and again and again and again and again and again. I'm going to use an example. I was lying down on the floor. They told me they could lift objects. This is what the voices told me. And I remember lying down on the floor, and they said, pick up the pillow and put it on this chair. Go in the other room. And I ran into the other room, and I looked around the other room. I said, what's in the other room? And they said, sit down at the piano. I said, okay. I sat down at the piano. So play some songs. I started playing some songs. This was, you're excited when you hear voices. They're so nice and they're friendly, and you know what I mean? And after like a half an hour, I said, I'm sick of playing songs. They said, we want to show you something. Go back in the other room. I went back in the other room, and they said, how did the pillow get on the chair? I said, I don't know. They said, we put it there. They said, we lifted it off the floor and we put it on the chair. And for a second, I believed it. I said, wait a second here. No. The pillow was on the floor because I was lying down on the floor because I had a dog and a cat. And I would lie down on the floor so that they would come and lie down next to me. They'd like to do that. And you told me to put the pillow on the chair, and then you distracted me and demanded I go into the other room so you could show me something. And then you said, I didn't see anything there. I was like, what did you want to show me? And then you said, sit down at the piano. And then you delayed me for like a half an hour asking me to play songs. And then you said, come back over here. You didn't put that pillow there. So I started to realize that they were occasionally playing tricks on me. That's an example of what they do. And that's what they did to my friend with the passport. An example of what they did to me. Another thing about these devices. Aliens have devices that target human cities. It's like a satellite. Every major city has some sort of a satellite out there, far away. When the Earth rotates, the satellite does not. It's really far away. It's not going around the Earth. If I go outside the city, the voices go away. I said, wait a second. This has happened more than once. I go outside the city, the voices go away. This device that they have must be targeting the cities. And I was like, I remember, when I went on that cruise, they got pissed off that I wanted to go on a cruise. I went on a Caribbean cruise for like 7 days, and they were so pissed, saying, don't go on this cruise. And they demanded one morning that I eat some food at a 7-Eleven. It was early in the morning, and I ended up getting sick. And I was so sick, I couldn't go on I did go on the cruise, but I was sick the whole time, and I had to stay in the bed throughout 7 days on a cruise. It was a complete waste of money. And it was a horrible day. Everything I had to do that day, it was just a chronology of errors. Everything went wrong. I had to print out documents. My printer didn't work. The hotel printer didn't work. Everyone I asked like 3 or 4 different people. I waited for like 2 hours for them to print out this document, the boarding pass. They just didn't do it, or they kept back saying we didn't get it. Everything just didn't work. And then I got to the point where I had to leave, and I had to leave in a taxi. Didn't have a boarding pass. We had to go to like a FedEx Kinko's to print out this document. And this wasn't all. Everything was just a chronology of bad things happening this day. And because I heard voices for many years, this was more than 10 years, I said, this happens sometimes. The voices are doing this. I know that the voices are behind this. They're trying to fuck up my day. And it's to do with this cruise. I got sick. They were demanding I don't go on the cruise. They're trying to screw me up from printing out the boarding pass, from getting on this taxi. And I was paying for the taxi. They accepted credit card because he had one of those devices on the cell phone where you swipe the card. They tricked me to put your wallet on the taxi. Don't worry about it. And then I left, and he took a long time to swipe that credit card. Okay, it took a long time for him to swipe the card, and then I had to put the card in the wallet, and then I had to sign for it. So I put the voices tell me put the wallet down, and then they say don't worry about it. That's how I know that that's what they said to my friend, because that's what they said to me. And then I took the thing and I had to sign. Maybe with your finger on the cell phone, you sign, give it back to him, and then they'll say, "Okay, hurry, leave." And I left, and the taxi drove away. And I was like, "Wait a second, my wallet, taxi's gone." And then I had to spend hours because I ended up getting there like 3 or 4 hours early. It takes a long time to board a cruise ship. Spend hours calling every taxi company to figure out which one it was. And guess what? We found the guy. The reason why is because it was a 2-hour ride to get to the port, and we chatted the whole way. And I knew the president of his country through a friend because he was a relative. And I said, "Hey, oh, you're from that country? My friend's cousin is the president," you know? So he remembered me, and he had the wallet, and he brought it back to me. Everything was okay. So this was Miami. He was from a Caribbean country. And I got on the cruise ship. I had to go to the doctor because I was sick. They gave me some worthless medicine. They told me you got to stay in your room the whole time. Well, guess what happened? The voices went away. I didn't hear any voices when the ship left port. So that's weird. I thought, well, maybe it's because I'm sick. Then fast forward, one day I'm riding my motorcycle. All of a sudden I leave the city and the voices just vanish. It's like a light switch just shut them off. I said, wait a second. They didn't want me to go on that cruise ship. I didn't hear voices throughout the entire cruise. It was outside the city. Wait a second. When I went to New York City, I remember entering the city and the voices started to pick up, and they were really nasty to me when I entered the city. But when I was on the way, they were quiet. I said, this is weird. It's like the voices are quiet when I'm outside the city. That's weird. So I honestly believe that that means that they have more than one device. Before I thought, okay, they got to have one device with some sort of method for targeting either individuals. I thought maybe individuals, and they have to aim very accurately. I don't think that's what it is. I think they got more than one device, because I wondered, well, what happens as the Earth goes around the sun if there are devices out there? What happens at nighttime versus daytime? Hear voices in the daytime and at nighttime. Got to be more than one device, or it's got to be coming around the Earth. I think that the evidence regarding leaving the city suggests that there's more than one device, and they target the cities. And because there's more than one person in your city hearing voices, they're not going to leave because you leave the city. It's targeting those people there. They have limited resources. They don't target everybody. And they target people for a reason. Either you're absolutely amazing and they want you to succeed, or they want you to fail. And they allowed Hitler to succeed. And Joan of Arc, they allowed her to fail. They allowed her to be burnt at the stake. She admitted that she heard voices and that it was the reason why she helped fight the British to keep them out of France. Because she said because the voices told her to do it. The voices abandoned her when she went on trial, burned at the stake for heresy. That's what they are. They don't have your interests in mind. So I do not believe in angels. I do not believe in demons or anything. It's all manufactured. It's stuff that they created this to make you believe it. We don't know that aliens are real. I mean, we have no idea. We haven't seen it, but it's the most logical answer. I believe that an alien doing this with technology is more believable than God speaking to Jesus Christ without technology. I think that's more believable. Not everybody believes that God spoke to Jesus. Fact. Do you believe that technology can be used to scan people's brainwaves? We already do. In fact, there have been experiments where they've injected thoughts into people's minds and have read your mind. They can do it. There's something where you dream at night and they match up your dreams with YouTube videos and they can show what you're dreaming about. So, for example, if you're dreaming about a horse running, they'll grab a YouTube video which shows a horse running, and they'll watch while you're dreaming, they'll start to see a horse running, but it's not what you're exactly seeing, but it's a video that they matched with it. So the technology already exists, very plausible. Lots of people say that UFOs exist. There's a lot of video and photography, a lot of people saying that it's happened. In terms of voices, 20 years ago, I would never have put this video on the internet because everybody would laugh at me. Today, I have no problem telling you I hear voices. They say they're aliens. I have no problem telling you that because you know what? I can go on the internet and find thousands of people saying the exact same thing that I'm saying. They're saying, I hear voices, I don't know why. They're telling me that I've had dreams about aliens since I was a child. They're telling me this and this and this and this. An example phrase is, you have the ticket. I hear the same thing, you have the ticket. What that means, when someone hears a voice and says, you have the ticket, what it means is that it's like you have admission to do something. Obviously, let's say you movie, you buy a ticket to go see the movie. You don't have a ticket, you don't get in. You have the ticket, you get in. It means you're going to get something for free. That's a service is going to be provided to you, like a voucher. That's basically what it means. So figure out what services you're interested in and think, oh, I don't have the money for that, or they won't. That's what it is. Let's say, for example, you want to apply for a college, but you think that college will never accept me. The aliens already know if you're going to be accepted or not because they read the minds of all the staff that's admitting students. And if there's a staff member saying, we need another student, 18 years old, male, who has experience with biology or who got this score on the SATs, and they know that you have that because they're reading your mind, they say, you have the ticket. And you say, oh, I'm going to get rejected by the school. And the voice says, no, you have the ticket. That when you hear stuff like that, you go there. So if you have a dream that somebody's handing you tickets, that means don't doubt yourself. That opportunity, they will accept you. That's what those dreams are saying. I know how to analyze dreams. Someone taught me how to do it. But that's an example. And then you go on the internet and you put down and you read what other people are hearing, because people say, oh, I hear a voice that says, you have the ticket. Run, run, run. Mine says left, right, left. That means put one foot in front of the other, start walking forward. And I know it's about this woman because I see the signs. I know that's what it's about. You know, it's someone who I see more than once a week and I chat with on a regular basis. And I'm thinking, oh, maybe I should go out on a date with this woman. And then I start hearing left, right, left, left, right, left. But I'm delaying it, and I have a reason to delay it. But someone has more information than me. Okay, so if you have any questions or comments, please post below. Feel free to put down how crazy I am. Like I said, before I started hearing voices, I would have put the same thing. This is crazy. You're an idiot. None of what you're saying is true. After I started hearing voices, your beliefs change overnight because it's real. This is real. Okay.